everybody. Happy Monday. This is Overpass Live. My name is Eric and I make apps. This is the weekly live stream where we talk about whatever we want to talk about. Now, before I say anything else this week, I just want to make sure that you guys can hear me okay. Because last week we had the audio trouble and everything like that. And just make sure everything is okay. And I see we already have, before I even open my mouth, we have 11 thumbs down. Let's do all thumbs down this time. I mean, somebody out there doesn't like me, but God, man, what did I do? What did I do? I just try to give. So anyway, it's been a really cool week. So we've had Google I/O this week. Flutterflow, the tool called Flutterflow, they released their tool this week. Or I think they did their big introduction video a couple days ago, which was kind of interesting. It was kind of interesting to see how this all works. First of all, can you guys hear me okay? Let me just see if you guys hear me. Okay, I'm assuming you can until you guys tell me otherwise. So yeah, Google I/O. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think about the Google I/O announcements and everything this last week. Which, to be honest with you, okay, I'll tell you guys what I thought. I was not that impressed. I remember we were on the Discord server. We're kind of talking about the announcements as it was coming, but there was not a whole lot of developer tools. I mean, on the I guess we have Flutter 2.2 came out, which there wasn't, I guess it's because Flutter 2 was a big web reveal and everything like that. And on the Firebase side, they have the storage emulator under the emulators for Firebase storage, which is still kind of like a, it wasn't like a big kind of thing. So I don't know if you guys found that at all, but it was still interesting to watch it. So let's see who's here. We got Billy is here. Billy, what's up? What's up, Billy? How's it going? Kevin Hawthorne is here. Hey, Kevin, thanks for the email this week, Kevin. So, Kevin, I'm still waiting to get back to work. I've been off since, you guys, let's see, right camera? I've been off since mid-March. This is the longest time I've been off work. Jeez, that's awful. So, God, Kevin, what do you do? Ryan. Ryan says, 11 dislikes, WTF. We're up to 13 now. Let's just, you know what? We're at the point now. I remember there was a season where the Chicago Cubs were like 13-0. And at that point, it was like the worst start ever. I think it was maybe the mid-90s, maybe early to mid-90s. And it was almost like we might as well just go for full-on. So let's just go on for full-on thumbs down. Screw it. Let's see what happens. I mean, all it will do is crush my soul. No big deal. Let's see. My name is Theo, and I also make apps. P.S. In the house. Theo is in the house. Let's see. Patrick says, I could hear you and no Spotify this morning. I know, that was so embarrassing. God. It was just anyway. But at least we got it there. Let's see. Theo Taylor says, I don't even think there was an Android tools talk. Yeah, it was really, really, really boring Google I/O this year. And I mean, I guess there was so much else going on in the world. A lot of this stuff had to do with, how they, were supporting the pandemic and different types of stuff. And I guess they talked a lot of the hardware stuff. And there was that tool that they talked about at the beginning that looked a little bit like Notion, kind of like a collaboration tool. Was it, I don't even remember what it was like, but sort of some part of the new G Suite tools and everything like that, which was kind of cool. But, that was that. But yeah, for the most part, I was waiting for see if there's anything new in Flutter coming out. And I guess the new thing was the emulators, the storage emulator. And I don't know about you guys, but I like to use the Firestore emulator locally on the machine, but it's so difficult when you don't have the data reproduced locally. It's so difficult. I find it so difficult to copy data from the production to even another project, let alone your local instance. But I would love it if there was a way that you could run your local emulator at the same time, pull the data down from your production server, so you can work entirely locally without having that dependency on the remote server. So you can focus on triggers and all that kind of stuff. But I usually use the emulators for functions, which is using cloud functions. But that's it. So Shurjin says, "Are we back on the old time schedule?" You know what? I was thinking about doing it at 6 o'clock tonight, but there's a few other things that I have to do. So I thought this week we'll just try a little bit earlier, see how it works out. And apparently you guys hate this new schedule because we already got 17 thumbs down. But you know what? Maybe we'll get up to 20. 18. See. And Douglas Garcia says, "Hey, how are you?" I'm doing really good. This week I've been working on a lot of client projects, quoting for a lot of stuff, and just I've been doing a lot of stuff again in Firebase and Xamarin. So I've been putting a lot of stuff out there, and it seems like I spent so much time in the code lately that I just like everything else is just sort of out there. Like I'm just doing so much work, even like in terms of social media and the YouTube channel. I haven't been doing that much in regards to that. So I've been quoting for a lot of projects. Oh, in fact, I just remembered I have to quote that I said I would get done today, which means I have to get it done tonight. But there's like lots of quotes and stuff that I've been doing, and just sort of, just busy, just really, really busy. And I did spend a few hours looking at, well, as I say, about a half an hour looking at the Flutter flow. And I don't know if you guys have seen it. I've been kind of a bit intrigued by it because it's kind of like a WYSIWYG editor. It's like an app builder software, except unlike a lot of app builder softwares out there, it looks like you can actually export it. 21 dislikes? Seriously, guys? All right. So, so yeah, no, that's pretty cool. Let's see. Jim says, "Where is everyone?" It's, the channel, I think lately the channel must not be doing so well probably because I've been posting a lot. I noticed that we're not getting a lot of the same numbers. And plus everyone's expecting it to be a little bit later. So I'm holding a bit earlier this time, Jim. So let's see. And Ron Deere says, "Hello." So let's talk a bit about Flutter Flow, because I was a bit intrigued by this. I watched the YouTube introduction on it. Let's put it over to the desktop view. So I've been watching some of I haven't had too much of a chance to look at it, but let's have a look at it together, because they had like a little, actually, I don't even know what the thing is. So build apps visually. So it's like another app builder software, and we see lots of these. We see AppyPie and Good Barber and all this kind of stuff using different types of tools. But this one seems to be more tightly controlled with Firebase and with Flutter. And one of the nice things about it is you appear to be able to export the code that you're actually working on. So now whenever you have like a WYSIWYG editor that does your code for you, it's going to be like completely like a different style and everything like that. So it's something that I want to have a closer look at, but right now I'm just been looking into it. I did set up an account, but let's see if I can get in here and continue with Google. So all I've done so far is create a test project. But if you guys haven't seen this, again, a lot of these tools look similar, but it's like the reason I've been looking at this, thinking this is something that perhaps I could get my designer to help me with. So start the projects off. She does a lot of stuff in like Adobe XD, and then we export the data out in terms of like the images and stuff like that. And if we do something where we actually export the code, then that would actually work out okay. So you've got the over here, you've got your pages, so you can create the new pages, add the navigation menus, and you could also integrate it with Firebase. So you add upload your Android file and your plist file, or your whatever your what's it called? The JSON file, whatever the Google services JSON file, and then also your plist file, and then you could go in here and set up your authentication through Firebase, and then set up your collections and everything like that too, which is again something I plan on working on. But I mean, asking in the Discord server a little bit early this morning, and one person said he wasn't that impressed with all this. So anyway, but it is something I do want to have a look at. So we got all these the widgets here, and I know you got the layout widgets, so you're gonna have to go like say, let's put in a row. So replace the row, and then we'll put in like let's put in a card in the row, and then you set all the parameters here. So. Cool. And then again, just kind of having a look at the alignment. So I want it to be expanded. I want it to be whatever. So going through, and then if you look at the widget tree, you could actually go through and start adding things directly to the widget tree there too. So So if I want to add a text into there, and let's say I want to add an image in there as well, add to stack. So then I could go in here. Actually, I want to go in here and I can see the card. I could expand the card, see the text and the widget on a stack, which really I don't want it to be a stack. I want it to be something else. So anyway, this kind of thing where I plan on playing with it a little bit, but I haven't really had a chance to yet. I wanted to see if you guys have actually used it and what your opinion is of it. So let's see. We got Vishnu who says, "Hi sir, how's business these days?" It's been, you know, like a couple months ago, things have really picked up, and now it kind of seems to slow down a little bit. But you know, I think it's just sort of things are just sort of going back to their normal pace. It seems to be like it either gets super busy or super slow or sort of in between. But I'm kind of enjoying just being able to work on some of our own stuff. Patrick says, Flutter Flow is cool, but WYSIWYG editors are less necessary now that UI code is so easy to write and the feedback loop with hot reload is so responsive. Nothing like the old VB5, 6, or WinForms. This is one of the things. So on the video for Flutter Flow, the introduction video, everybody was saying, as a developer, it makes me scared. But when you look at tools like this, like it's a bit like SharePoint. Like it still requires some technical knowledge to use it. It doesn't make it so the layperson can use it. That's, you still have to know what a widget is. You know how to lay out a component and everything like that. But it's kind of like an in between. Like it's thinking, if you know what all that stuff is, you might as well just write the code, because it's not that difficult to write the code. But it's kind of like when you're going from lost my train of thought. But yes, I lost my train of thought when I saw another thumbs down go down. But let's see. Morris Taylor says, is there a shortage of iOS developers? Theo is not my brother. Thanks, Morris. I don't think there's a shortage of iOS developers. I mean, there's loads of them out there. But there's a whole lot more Android developers. It is a lot harder to find a good iOS developer than it is an Android developer, because Android, it's not a smaller learning curve necessarily, but you could do it on Windows and Linux, and it's a lot more portable, right? The devices are a lot less expensive. To become an iOS developer, you have to get a Mac. You have to get all those different kinds of tools and everything like that. So yeah, I mean, the threshold for somebody becoming a developer on the iOS side is much, much higher. So yeah, I think there kind of is a shortage in that respect. So, but let's see. Ron Deere says, I agree with Patrick. I'm not a fan of these drag and drop stuff. I might as well write it myself the way I want. I know, exactly. But like, let's say, like a lot of the times I'll be working with my designer, and like she'll be working on the design. Like there's parts where you're working on the plumbing of something, and you get something working, and then you got those little tweaks like, hey, can you change this font? Can you change this? Can you change this little thing? Like these little tiny things that add so much time onto a project that it would make sense to give that to somebody who's not your most skilled person, right? Your most skilled person is the person who's doing the code itself, right? If you could give something to somebody who could just go through and like, okay, they want some different text here, or they want to change the name of the label, or they want to change this button from blue to pink, and so being able to give that to somebody who's not the top developer, so you got one person is doing all the back-end code and all the GUI, all the user interface and all the images and all this kind of stuff. It doesn't make sense. It's better if you could separate that out. And it's always been difficult. I've always found it difficult to do it, because you have designers working in one tool and they're exporting everything, and it doesn't quite look as good as you want to. Like it doesn't quite work with the back end and everything you're doing. So I'm kind of hoping this goes in that way, but you're probably right. It probably is going to be something that's just the same as every other, right? You still have to get somebody who can do it properly. So let's see. Let's see. Theo says, yes, we aren't brothers. Okay, well, there you go. Darshana Manaj says, hi, Eric, you always make good YouTube content. I'm just wondering why YouTube algorithm is not looking at you. Well, I used to do content every single day. And now it's kind of, it got to the point where every time I was doing a video, somebody was saying, you've already talked about this. You've already talked about this. And then it just got me started thinking about like, well, you know, what haven't I talked about? Like, you know, I can't do another video. Like, is there any topic that I haven't covered? And then sometimes I'll think about these kind of things and think, and then and then you get out of practice. You get out of practice just like you do with everything else, right? Next thing you know, a week has gone by or 2 weeks gone by, not do a video. But we still do the live streams, which are very, very popular with 32 thumbs down. But yeah, so Theo Taylor, Android's more accessible, lower barriers to entry. Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's I can tell you, I've hired developers lots of time. I get lots of people send me their CVs, and it's always Android, 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 and it's like, well, that's good, but like, you know, there's this whole other side of things. There's still iOS development is still important. There's still a lot of people out there with iPhones. They haven't gone away yet. So I agree. The panic is. Patrick says I agree. The panic is unnecessary. Even if coding goes completely visual someday, the real challenge is translating requirements to software. The code is just a language we translate to. Yeah, and it's even if you do, like, I can remember doing Microsoft Access. The first coding I ever did. Actually, it wasn't even coding. It was like Microsoft Access. It was drag and drop, making queries. So I don't know if you ever used like Access 97 or Access 2000. It's probably the same now. So you have your database tables, and you could link them to an ODBC connection on some SQL server somewhere, right? And then you drag them onto your query engine, your query designer, and then you're just dragging and dropping the foreign keys to each other. And you could go and look at the SQL behind it, and the SQL was like awful. Like I remember thinking I could learn SQL just by doing that, but like the generated SQL was like nowhere near, like it wasn't nearly as efficient or as clean as if you wrote the SQL yourself. The same with HTML designers, right? You look at front page or look at Microsoft Word. Have you ever taken a Microsoft Word document and exported it as HTML and then looked at the HTML? It's like vomit. It's like the worst thing ever. So yeah, I mean, it's so WYSIWYG editors and that kind of stuff, they usually never really work as well as you hope they would. Northern Light says, how do you feel about AdMob's new policies where they will soon manually check your app, that they will allow monetization? I think anytime you introduce something manual into the process, it's going to slow things down. I mean, it was really slow to begin with on the iOS review side. So like you'd end up you have to wait, like it used to take like a week to get your iOS app released. Now it could take a day or two, like just to get the full, you know, it's like from scratch, like not even update. Like, you know, I've had apps released in a couple of hours on the Apple side, and Google now takes a week because they're doing things manually. And I think it's because they got into so much trouble with all this kind of stuff and everyone complaining. And, you know, I mean, the ad revenue is a big thing to them. So all this ad fraud and everything, I could see them, you know, you're damned if you do, if you're damned if you don't. It's either they're going to have to check it through an algorithm, which is why we all get shut down for like no reason because like there's not a real person looking at it, or they get a real person looking at it, and then it's going to slow things down for everybody. But let's see. Patrick says, I think you've identified the ideal use case for Flutter Flow. Designer creates the draft of the UI and then passes it to the developer. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So that's what I got my designer. I asked her this afternoon, like, can you start looking at this? This is something, you know, because if she could do a lot of that part, or even if I start the design, it would be awesome if you could start, like if you could import into that tool, but you can't. So, but Matthew Creek, hey Matthew, how's it going? It says, hey, I published an iOS version of Silver and Gold Milk Calculator. Fantastic. How's it doing? Can you check it out? I'm sure we can have a look at it. Let's see. Let's see. How am I going to search this? What's the name of it again? Matthew, if you could remind me what the name is. Remind me what the package name is, rather. Let me have a look at it that way. Let's see. Patrick Shasko says, what's exactly... That is exactly what I'd use it for. Yeah. So Minaj says there's no need. There's a need for a big competitor for Play Store, App Store. Yeah, but there are, you know, there are app stores vying to become a competitor, like Amazon. Like who's like if Amazon can't become the main competitor of Google, who can, right? Microsoft, right? You know, Amazon, the Amazon App Store just isn't really, for me. It's never been like I've hardly made any money. I do every month. I get like $1 or $2 from Amazon still, and I haven't published anything in the Amazon App Store in years. Like none of the updates, nothing. I focus mainly on Google Play, and I still get a few, like occasionally get a purchase here and there. But you know, I found the Amazon App Store. I just didn't get the same results from it, but that would be the thing to do. However, you'd also have to make sure that everybody who ever bought an Android phone ever would know to download the Amazon App Store. Yeah, to download the Amazon App Store app so that they can actually use it, as opposed to just going to the default, which is Google Play. See, Morris says, I'm afraid to spend 2 years focusing on iOS development and then be unable to find a job or gig before I run out of money. Or I could spend 2 years finishing an IT degree. Where's the 2 years? Yeah, I'm not sure where the 2 years comes from, but I mean, right now you can start to look to see what's out there. I mean, you don't like become. You might be able to find something like on a junior developer level, like where you're helping a team of existing developers already, and actually, you know, so you start you start at the ground level. You start at the ground level, and you can build yourself up with the team rather than say, I'm going to get good enough to just go straight in and get that job. And you might be able to do that on like on a part-time freelance basis. Rachel, hey Rachel, how's it going? Have you found a way to delete unwanted/unneeded Play Store listings? Can I set it to removed? I can set it to removed by you, but it still remains in the listings, and you can't remove it from the list. I know I haven't. If you look at my Play Store, I'll show you my Play Store. It's like it's like a lot of red. Like I wish there was a way to do it. I kind of understand why there isn't, because you know some of these have reviews associated with them. They have like purchases associated with them. They have all this kind of stuff, and probably it would mess up the referential integrity, right? You still have the package name out there and everything like that, but it would be nice if you could just, you know, the only thing I've really been able to do is just hide them. So hide them with the filter saying, just show the, what was it? Just show published apps. Let me show you my Play Store page here. Boop, 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 ba-doo. Okay, I am trying not to be intimidated by the 32 dislikes, but you know, only a man. Let's see. So let me show you my screen here. Ta-da. So yeah, so here's mine. You can see if I show you, I got filtered by all, but if I show you by removed by Google, I've got a few updates that were rejected, removed by you, you know, and then just suspended by Google. Here's my suspensions. Why are those suspended? Yeah. Nobody even told me about these ones. I didn't even get an email for those ones. And then I've got the, and so if I just do it on production, then I can just see everything that I actually have, which is 114 applications on the Google Play. But that, yeah, it's just this filter is the only way I've been able to actually find it. So, but yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Hey, Frank Fox says, what are the important things to not forget for the first public release of your app? What not to forget? Don't forget to turn off all your debug settings. Don't forget. Okay, make it as easy. Okay, don't forget to make it as easy as possible for people to leave reviews, right? If you do get people into the application, and if for them to leave a review, they have to actually leave your application and go back to the Play Store or the App Store to find, to search for your app, and then they can leave a review. Nobody's going to do that. You want it to be as easy as possible with like a review us section or a rate us section on there somehow, right? Because those reviews are going to be really, really important when you go forward. It just, if you start to get people in there. You know, think about your keywords, think about how people are going to find it. Start, you know, and just, you know, take a look at your application. Like, as a developer, it's easy to get so close to it that you can't think about what it's going to be like for the user actually looking at it. But show it to some friends, you know, the Play Store page or the App Store page, to show them the screenshots, what everything looks like. You know, how should that look to you? I mean, how would that, if you were coming into it and you were going, this might be interesting, and then you're looking at it, what would entice you? Does it look professional? Like, the design, artwork, and everything like that is be really important. But I think the big thing for me would be to make sure that you have a way for them to leave a review. And if you have purchases in there, make sure that's as easy as possible. Like, you're trying to guide them a certain way into making certain decisions, and the easier you can make that to be, the better. So Potionware metal calculator. Oh, God, how did I forget this? Let's see. Let me see if I can find it here. So we'll have a look at the App Store page, but I know we've looked at this before on the let's see. Okay, let's see if I can find it on see if I can find it on App Annie. Huh. There we go. So silver gold. Okay, here we go. Silver and gold calculator. Okay, so that's the name of it. Cool. All right. So, can you guys? Oh, you guys can't even. Okay, you guys can't even see my desktop. Here we go. All right. So this is it. It's the melt calculator here. So well, you got it released, which is good. I mean, this. So by default, I see the iPhone. Well, the iPhone screenshots. I mean, it's cool that you have this on here, Matthew. But I mean, have you thought about getting some design work on this and just putting some color into it? Because it's, again, it's really difficult to see like what it actually does. You know, I mean, having screenshots that are actually saying what the application does and everything like that would be really useful. I mean, because I see something that looks like very much like, yeah, it might be very useful, but it's, you know, if I'm going to look at other things, like if I was going to do a search for, if I was going to do a search for other apps similar to that, actually, I don't think the Google Play or the Apple search doesn't actually work that well. But yeah, I mean, what do the rest of you guys think? Let Matthew know there. Let's see. Darshana says, hey, Eric, is there a solution to reduce IAP refund? My recent release of the app got some amount of daily IAP, but half of them refund the next day. The only thing I could think of is just to try to make it better. They put that stuff in there so people can't remove it. And one thing to do, Darshana, is to make sure that if they do have a refund, make sure you have that check in there. Like, make sure that you're actually checking to see that they still have access to it. Because I've had in the past where I've had apps where it's like once the purchase was made, that was it. I did a flag in the applications and I never check it again, right? So like if somebody got a refund, I don't even think it switched it, like turn it back off. So that's one thing to think about, is to make sure that actually happens. So that means like every time the app starts up, then to actually check that. By the way, thanks everyone who has given me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. I But so Ron Deere says, last week, someone who says he is a French school teacher emailed me and wanted to translate my app to French app for teachers. In return, he wanted a lifetime subscription. I accepted the deal. Well, that doesn't sound too bad. I hope he's not lying about being a teacher. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like I'm trying to think, what would be the motive if that was a scam? What would be the motive there? Because really, you're giving away access to your application. So, okay, let's see. Patrick says, I don't know who to root for in the Apple versus Epic case. On the one hand, I hate Apple for forcing all app transactions to use Apple, but I do understand it's costly to run the App Store and maintain APIs. Yeah, I mean, I kind of think the same way too, because at first I was like, yeah, Apple's screwing us. 30% is too much, right? But they created this platform, right? We don't have to use the App Store, right? We knew this going into it, that this is how much it's going to cost. And it's like, it's that whole, there's that, the Ayn Rand side of me comes out and says like, oh, now that there's a company is successful, then everyone latches on and says, you're just being greedy, right? But really, they created this platform. They did a great job doing it. But there is no competition. Like, and when it comes to the iPhone, there's no competition for the app stores. So like, and even the fact that Google was charging 30% too was like kind of ridiculous. So yeah, I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence too. Like, I kind of see both sides. I mean, the Apple 30% is a lot, but it's still kind of a thing we have going into it. It's like saying it's like moving to a place where there's high taxes and then complaining about the taxes. Like, it's like, dude, you knew that when you moved there. Now, if you grew up there, well, then that's a completely different issue, I guess. Let's see. Fist007, hey, how are you? Glad you could make it. So Fist007, okay, so everybody who doesn't hate me, give me the thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Let's get that number up. Like, let's get at least 50-50. God, man. Let's see. Ron Deere says, I mean, he might use Google Translate if he's not actually French. Yeah, I mean, yes, you don't want that to happen. Like, that sounds like a lot of. Do you know what? Ask him for a CV. It's like, have him send you his credentials. Like, if he wants lifetime access to your application, right? You might as well say, hey, fantastic. Can you send me a CV? Because like, I've had just say I've had other people ask me the similar thing, but I just want to make sure that you're like, you're legit and everything like that. So you can just send me your CV or whatever, or your LinkedIn page. I'd love to help you. That would be great. And just say, you give him some credit for the, tell him you want to give him some credit on the Play Store listing for the French version when you actually have it listed there. Then that way you kind of get that. So Fist007, what's up? What's up? Hey, how's it going? It's good to be back. Good to be back, man. Super chat $5 from Patrick. Buy yourself a pint and forget all the haters, dude. All right, okay. Yeah, you're right. I am letting it get to me. Dude, calm down, Eric. Come on, man. Be a professional. Don't worry about those thumbs down. All right, cool. Biz Watch Eats here. What's up, everyone? Hey, how's it going? Yeah, sorry, I'm an hour earlier today. So one of the things I've been doing, I told you guys this before, is nothing to do with apps, is I started going to this boxing gym. Well, no, we did the South Morton boxing gym, which I did the app for. And that's what I've been doing some other stuff for them. So if you guys ever want to check out my work, it's South Morton SMBC app on Google Play and on the App Store. But I've been going in there to the classes and stuff like that. Dude, and it was like on Friday, we did this boxing class in core, and it kicked my butt. I mean, it was just like this thing where it just kicked my butt. And then at the end, the trainer, Terry's like, all right, if you don't want to get punched in the stomach, get out of the ring, because we're doing all this like hundreds of crunches and stuff. 100 crunches, like, and you're just writhing around in pain, like, oh no. And then so you put your hands behind your neck. I know if many of you guys may have already done this before, but for me it was like totally new. Like, I don't think I've been punched since I was like 10, maybe 13, something like that. So like, you put your hands behind your head and you like touch up, and it's like boom, 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 like three, and it was so awesome. It was so cool. For those guys, if you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. But yes, so I know it's really that's why I'm early today, because there's a class at 7, and I want to see if I could try to make that. So I appreciate you guys showing up early. Morris Taylor says, Scott Adams podcast yesterday, he said, people who leave bad reviews are broken people trying to make other people like themselves. You're right. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. There have been times, it's weird on this channel because there's been times where you guys, I know you guys have just you all did thumbs down just to watch me sweat, and it all went back to thumbs up again. But, sometimes people don't like me. And I think it's just, just a normal thing. More like themselves. Yep. Okay. Rachel Reed says, the app you showed looks like a low-fidelity prototype, not the finished design. Yeah, we're talking about the melt calculator. Yeah, I kind of think that too, Rachel. It's that, design's important. It just is. The reason I've been working with Sandy since 2014. So, and it's basically because I can't do any design work. I mean, I could do some. The nice thing about a lot of these tools is I could do a drop shadow, I could do a gradient, I could do all that kind of stuff. I could use Font Awesome for the icons and everything like that. And you could do a lot with having no design work, just to give it some color, put some icons in there, everything like that. Font Awesome is awesome. That's what I'm gonna say. So I don't know if you guys have ever used it. If you guys haven't done it, it's easy to incorporate it into your applications, and there's a lot of stuff on there, and you can get the paid version for $100 a year, but the free version, it has loads on it, so at least you could have all those normal icons and everything like that. So but yeah, I agree with you on that, Matthew. You might want to just give it some color, give it some design work. Luigi says, Google's now charging 15% like Apple from July, below 1 million. Yeah, that's is that a good way to again, I just said okay, we knew going into this it was 30%, and we can't blame Apple and Google for all this kind of stuff. However, it does seem okay, I'll tell you what, because people are picketing outside, let's just remove all the people. Most of our money comes from the million plus anyway, and if they were picketing outside, it would be nothing. You wouldn't even be able to tell. So they were able to satisfy the masses and whatever. Mary Gao says, hey, which database do you prefer for your apps when the data should be available via the web? I still like Firestore. I still like Firestore because you could host everything in there, but that's kind of new. When you talk about a database, my two favorites are for NoSQL be Firebase. I know, and this is kind of the same for a lot of this stuff. MongoDB I've used in the past, but not to a big extent. If I'm using a relational database, I like MySQL. I used to be a 100% Microsoft guy, and I loved SQL Server and store procedures and having that extra layer of the store procedures accessing the data and everything like that. But it's expensive. So and sometimes there are times where I have applications. Okay, there's something just happened in the past week. A client asked they wanted to have an ODBC connection to the database. They've had it with other projects and stuff like that. We want to have an ODBC connection to the database so we can query the data ourselves. And I said, well, we don't really we're using Firebase. And they go, well, how do we query that? And I go, you have to write code. And that's a big, sometimes that could be a big problem. It was kind of the thing where I had to tell them, yeah, we're not doing it that way. That was never really, I didn't know you guys were going to want to do that kind of stuff. But so what I've done in the past is I've actually had stuff where I have a MySQL database and Cloud Functions with triggers. So every time something gets pushed to the Firestore database, it can actually at the same time write to a MySQL database. So then you have this MySQL reporting database, which is something that I might think about doing in this case. However, all of a sudden you go from having this really dynamic, flexible model to having a static, you know, flattened structure. So, but yeah, my two, if I'm doing something where I'm actually using a Linux server, MySQL all the way. I mean, I just, you know, it's just cheap, easy. If I'm doing on the device, even then, like I did used to store stuff as JSON objects on the mobile device, but now it's the SQLite database still. So, you know, but let's see. Ron Deere says, didn't Apple reduce it for indie developers? They did, but you had to apply for it, and a lot of people got it. I did not get the small business thing for that. Ron Deere says, I'm a French-speaking guy if you need some help. Okay. What you could do, Ron Deere, is if he does translate that stuff, get somebody to look it over. Let's see. E.P. Young and Derek Dooley disliked 16 times each. You know what? I don't think they're haters. I don't think Derek Dooley and E.P. Young are haters. So, but I don't know who is. Maybe some people just hate the way I look. What do you think it is? No, it's okay. That's good. I was like, okay. The 30%. Okay, Rachel says. The 30% or now 15% wouldn't be too bad without Apple charging $79 per year to have an account with them. At least Google charges a one-off admin fee. That's true. I think one thing about having the one-off admin fee on the Google side is that some of these apps never go away. Whereas on the Apple side, you know, you'll have people who just, you know, after a year of poor results, they'll call it. They're like, you know what, I don't want, you know, it's not even worth paying the admin fee, and at least that keeps the app store a lot smaller. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it is another barrier to entry. Let's see. Raymond says, Raymond here from Ghana. Hey, Raymond, how's it going? Ghana, awesome. Oh, so next week, I'm going to try to do the live stream from Portugal. So I'll be in Portugal. I'll be in Porto, Portugal next week. I need to contact Rodrigo to see if I can meet up with him. Bizwajit says, from July 2021, Google is going to take 50% only from small indie game devs and studios. I know, that's awesome. Bobby Generic, happy Apple versus Epic Day. Is today a significant day for that? Is that something in the news? Let's see. App 404. Hey, what's with the dislikes? We're trying something new. At the beginning, App 404, you missed it. I wasn't wearing a shirt. I was sweating a lot. I was swearing. I said a lot of racial slurs. It was, you know, it was awful. I deserved all those dislikes. But Eric, you don't deserve as many dislikes. I don't know why there's so many dislikes. There just are. Everyone remove dislikes and replace it with likes. I don't think it was all that, because we only have like 30 people watching and like whatever, 57 reviews. I don't think everybody's still here. Remember that Apple versus Google can reverse course at that 50% at any time. I'm 100% Epic, aka on the side of the developers. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes yeah, they are on the side. Yeah, they are on the side of developers. I suppose you're right. But let's see. Darshana says maybe people who dislike are from Area 51. Who knows? Oh, there's all that stuff about the UFOs coming out, isn't there? Has that happened yet? Like, you know, they released documents and everything like that. Let's see. Patrick says, I've been developing with SQL for 20 plus years and still just can't feel right about NoSQL. I know, it's weird. NoSQL is like it's almost for like mobile. Like if you're, one of the problems I had with a SQL database where I wanted like a super flexible structure. Like I did some work for a client, well, a bit of consultancy work for a client where they would have, so they were a company that produced like SaaS software for like lots of their different clients, and every different client would need different like fields in their databases, like, but it was the same core product. So they would like have like all these different versions where they would just add more tables on, like more rows on the tables, to the point where it was unmaintainable anymore. They had branches upon branch. I was the one who showed them how to do branches in Subversion, and then I come back a couple years later because they were like having more trouble, and it was like branches upon branches. Like it was just like, oh my god, it was, and so I came up with this structure. I came up with this way of having an entity relationship table where I just have a table of entities, and it was almost like a key value pairing. So it was like, rather than take the columns, I would move them into rows and all this kind of stuff, because then it would be super flexible, right? Then you could add, you could have as many different columns as you want for different clients and different types, whatever. And I'd seen somebody else do it before, and I thought it was brilliant, and I did it before, and we put that stuff in there, and it was so slow. It was like a pig. It was like a few days of doing this, and it was like, ooh, this is like, damn, this is like way slower than just having all those columns. So like in those kind of situations where you have data that's like data that's that might be completely different for some people than others, and they NoSQL works. And I think we're overusing NoSQL in a lot of these situations, because I can't think of that many situations where you need it. Like something like a chat room. I mean, a chat room could easily be a NoSQL, a SQL database. But the fact that okay, I only want to get this one bit of data for me, that works. But like say I want to do a report on all the users and all their individual nested nodes, then it becomes a ball ache just to do all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I kind of get what you're saying. Xander Pixel says, hey, we're almost up to as many likes as we are dislikes. My standards are so good. Xander Pixel says, I spent 7 years developing on .NET Framework and MS SQL Server. Then I pulled a 180 and got into mobile apps. I know. It was, I can remember when somebody, I was, because I've been doing this. If you guys don't know, I'm a bit older. So I can remember when I first heard about MySQL. And I was doing like a bunch of work on SQL Server, and then I had a project manager come to me at this little company I was working at and said, "What if we use something like MySQL?" And I was like, "Well, that's a free one." It was like almost like, why would they be like? It was kind of that. Why would they be charged? Like, obviously, it's no good if it's free, right? And it's like it's awesome. Like it's such a different way of thinking about things. But see, I mean, yeah, so. I totally get you. Carlos, Super Chat Cop. Thanks very much. I really appreciate that. 10,000 from COPs, 10,000 from Carlos Aguilar. Thanks. I think Java is dying in Android. What do you think about it? By the way, your videos and suggestions had helped me a lot. Cool, Carlos. I really think so. Thanks. I really appreciate that. So, I think it is. Like, it almost seems like they want you to go the Kotlin route, right? This is what it's going to be like. It's going to be... It's going to be the point where, you're going to say, that old man down the hall, he knows Java, go ask him. And he give me this old office. It's almost like, sorry. So it's going to be that thing where it's going to be that I think if you're just getting started now, you should probably learn Kotlin as opposed to Java. Java's more portable and use it in other places. But I think if you go Kotlin in the Swift route, I think it's probably a better way to go. And you're going to see more and more. It seems like more and more samples you're seeing it in Kotlin, and once the But I agree with you completely. Xander Pixels says, oh hush, Eric, you look great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Xander Pixels. Appreciate it. Let's see. Bobby Jenner said Apple's yearly fee is justified. At least we can email them and reach an actual person, unlike Google. That's true. Yeah. I mean, yeah, the whole Google model is, I guess, you're right. I guess the fact that we pay Apple a fee each year, then, we kind of feel like we're, the fact that we don't pay Google anything, and, the fact that we don't pay Google anything means that they could treat us like dirt. Their algorithm goes and all that kind of, so... Xander says, I doubt Java is dying. It's just more that more and more people are switching over to Kotlin. I don't think anything is dying, right? I think there'll still be people using it, but is that what I said? Did I say it was dying? Oh, dying in Android. Yeah, I think more. I mean, I think a lot of people would be. Oh, Bobby, final statements in the case for today. Oh, are they? Jeez, God. You know what? I've been reading junk news. I've been writing like, dude, man, I'm like Kardashian stuff. I'm not. Let's see. Cord Funk. I'm going to update my Android apps, I think, because of the reduction of 15 tax. A little motivation. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I need to get mine updated too. Fist007 says, when you're a SQL Server guru and you hear MySQL, you are tempted to say, dude, I don't play with toys, but MySQL is not a toy anymore. I know. It's one of those things. I've used PHP in the past. I've used PHP quite a lot, but I've never liked it. And I know people, when I say that, some people get upset because, but the reality is like PHP and MySQL was like, Facebook was built on that. Like, you can't there's no, like, at least initially, there's no arguing with that, the fact that it's scalable. So, and it's the same, when you think about MySQL, like when you see all the things that it's been used on, like you're like, okay, yeah, you can't make that argument anymore. No SQL. Fist0 says, dude. Oh, it's not dude. Celtic Whispers checking in late. Happy Monday. Oh, happy Monday, Celtic Whispers. So everybody, thanks so much. So is that it? So we talked a little bit about Google I/O this year. We talked about Flutter Flow. We talked about some of this kind of stuff. And Fist0 says, seems like pizza time. Actually, no. I'm gonna go to the gym. Maybe I'll go to the gym. But anyway, everybody, thanks for joining the live stream this week. We are our win-loss record today is a loss because we're at smaller. We have a smaller number of likes than dislikes, but that's all right. It's weird. I appreciate you guys' all reassurance, and I hope you guys have a great week ahead. Hopefully, I'll be doing the live stream next week from Portugal, which will be awesome. And that is it for today. I'll talk to you guys again next week. See you guys later. Bye.